everybody, how we doing? Hope everybody's enjoying this lovely quarantine period where you can't do jack. Yeah, this is the video that I wanted to put out last week, but I decided to give it another week just to see if any more questions came in. I've got a few, and basically it's the follow-up video to have you got any questions for the rubbish mechanic? I've had a few come in, a few interesting ones. I'm going to answer the main four that I've got, and this is quite a lot of content that I want to go over that these questions are involved. So here they are. Okay, first off, Mr. Matt Walker, long-term follower of mine, appreciate it mate, thank you, asks, when I do a brake job on a car, do I remove the cap off of the fluid reservoir and or do I take the bleed screw out when I push the pistons back? Well, that's a two-sided question and I'll answer them both. Yes, you should always take the fluid cap off of the brake fluid reservoir when you need to obviously push the pistons back, because you also need to put a cloth around the fluid reservoir should you need to actually, you know, if there's going to be any overspill. Usually just take a quick gander at that first, because if you're doing a full brake job on a car, i.e. discs and pads all round, the odds are that the fluid level will be down by or under the minimum level, and if you work your way around the car to push all four pistons back, a lot of the time, yes, you still have to remove the cap, but a lot of the time it won't overflow. But for instance, if you're just doing a set of rear brakes or a set of front brakes, just always have a gander at the level, take the cap off, and when you push the pistons back, usually you will get a little bit of overrun. It's nothing major, you know, just make sure you put a cloth or a pig mat or a diaper, as I call it, around just to soak up any excess that should come out. And the next part of it, as regards taking the bleed screw out on the caliper, I usually don't, purely because a lot of the cars that I work on are usually out of their warranties or knocking on a bit, and because we have a lot of salt in the UK's roads, etc, etc, particularly if you've got a steel bleed nipple in an aluminium caliper and you want to try and undo it, you know, particularly if you're working from work or if you're working from home like me, if you break that bleed nipple off when you're trying to undo it, you've just bought yourself a caliper, and all the profit that you were gaining on the job, you haven't earned anything. And I usually will warn the customer sometimes that if the car does need a brake fluid change or they've asked for it, I will always say to them, let me view the car and do the brakes first. If the bleed nipples are going to come undone, I shall do it whilst the brakes are stripped down, etc, or built back up. It's usually the best time to do is when they're built back up, and obviously, you know, the customer will be charged accordingly. If the bleed nipples are looking a little bit rough, like they won't come out, I will usually give them a try, but if it's an aluminium caliper with phenolic pistons in, like the modern day cars, it's usually just a no-go, because, you know, I'd buy a set of brake bleed nipples and attempt at removing them, and if they do strip out, it's just a case of drilling and retapping the hole. But a lot of the times, no, I don't, just because, you know, if you do break something, a simple half-an-hour brake job turns into, you know, a whole world of hurt, and it's an absolute piss pot to sort out, because, you know, you can't drive the car, you can't take it anywhere, and yeah, it's just, you know, a lot of garages do that now. They just don't tend to do it. A classic case in point is a lot of Toyotas now are aluminium calipers all round, and the amount of them that I've seen broken off are quite, yeah, it's quite prevalent for braking. So yeah, I hope that's answered that one, and if you want me to further on that subject, you know, Matt, just get back in touch and I'll answer it for you. And the same as anything else you want me to answer, just drop it in the comment box. I'll write it down in biro like I've got here, and we'll sort it out. And all right, just have a drink. Next question is, from a friend of, I haven't actually met you yet, Luke, but I understand you're a friend of Joseph's, and you go by the name of Super Fifth Gear on YouTube. Excellent name, but I would have gone Super Top Gear myself. Luke asks, what is it that I do? He's asked me 3 questions in one really. He's asked me, what is it that I do? I'm taking that's what I do as a career. How did I learn all of my mechanical knowledge? Yeah, good question. And with a tool review, what I mean is a tool review, I don't actually mean the actual equipment that I use to work on cars, because a lot of my stuff is Snap-on and Bright Tool, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to get into that kind of feel, because it's basically saying what's better, Ford or Vauxhall. They both do the job, they're both ample for me. But with when I say tool review, it's actually going to be more of like a product review, like, you know, a certain brand of brake pads, a certain brand of oil, certain greases, even polishes, because if you noticed, the Granada's out behind and it is having a little bit of love during this quiet period, so I might do a walk around video on that and take you a run to the shops like I did in the Amiga. So yeah, what is it that I do? What I do is, technically, I'm a truck driver. I drive all different sorts of trucks. I'm not going to say the name of the company that I work for, just because. You know, I drive anything from a bin truck to a skip truck to lorries, flip rigids, flatbeds, forklift trucks, buses, you name it, I'll drive it. And that's what I do. Do a lot of service and maintenance and all that kind of stuff as well. And yeah, that's exactly what I do. I'm not going to divulge any more on that, because I've got to be careful what I say because of what we actually deal with. So I hope you appreciate that, mate. Second part of your question is, how did I learn all my mechanical knowledge? Well, with that, excuse the pyjamas, how did I learn all my mechanical knowledge? Well, I had a granddad that was a massive fan of engineering, and he was an engineer himself, ran a tool company, did a lot of, you know, big projects and that in the war, and etc, etc. And I, as a child, you know, had a lot of respect for my grandpa, and I kind of just, you know, he took me under his wing, and I learnt a lot like that. And a lot of respect to my dad. He was a big engineer at Jaguar, and before that he worked for Tickford, building the Tickford Capris. He progressed his way through development engineer, riding, I think it was called vehicle road train that he used to work in, and being a big mechanic himself, doing back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, working at Ford dealerships and being part of the dealership that we had. You know, working on anything from Granadas, Capris, Vauxhalls, all that kind of stuff at the time, doing major engine rebuilds, body restorations, all that kind of stuff. And you know, me being me, I just had a massive interest in it. And like I've been taught over the years, you know, yes, I've got a lot of qualifications for what I do, but particularly working on a car, the way I see it in my mind is it's just nuts and bolts. And you know, you can take it to bits, you can have a look at how it works, and then you put it back together again. And that's the way I see it. It's only nuts and bolts, because you know, you can only bugger it up once, and if you have buggered it up once, you can just fix it. You know, as the great old Haynes Book of Fairy Tales say, you know, refitting is the exact same process as removal, and that's probably the only benefit that them bloody magazines have, because they're crap. You know, so I stripped my first engine when I was 7, I think, and put it all back together, you know, with the help of my dad, my stepdad, all that kind of stuff. I just ended up having a massive interest in it, and you know, doing a lot of banger racing and stock car racing and stuff over the years. You learn to fix stuff very quickly, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a good job, but so long as that car can go back out on the track and have fun, that's the main, you know, that's the main prerogative of it, to actually, you know, fix that, whatever it is. You've got to fix it with whatever tools that you've got. You know, I mean, my level of expertise is, you know, I'm quite good at working on brakes on cars and doing clutches and cam belts and all that kind of stuff, but since I'm having a lot of problems with my knees and because I do suffer with quite bad rheumatoid arthritis, I'm kind of knocking it on the head so much anymore, so I don't do so much racing. And the car that you see behind me there, the Granada, is it's more of a family heirloom than anything, and I'm doing my best to keep it on the road. I know you haven't seen a lot of it yet, and you will be seeing a lot of it, trust me, especially with this quarantine period that's on at the moment. So yeah, basically, mate, mechanical knowledge, a lot of it is self-taught, a lot of it I've also been learned, it's been passed down. I mean, you know, I'm in my mid-30s, and I think I'm about the only person in the mid-30s that can still set plugs, points and distributor caps up without having to use a computer or a dwell meter or anything like that. It's just become second nature, and particularly with working and stuff on this and what the camera mount's bolted to. And third question is, I hope I've answered everything right for you there, mate. You know, I can't give too much away about what I do at work, but with my mechanical knowledge, you know, advice is free at the end of the day. And you know, you do say you're a bit worried about working on the cars and stuff that you've got. Don't be frightened, you know, just have a go at it. You know, watch some of my videos. I'm only here. You can, we're friends on Facebook. Drop me a line. I can help you out. If you wanted to set a brake pads in your 75 MG, give me a shout. Do whatever. Change your oil. I'll talk you through it. The advice is free. You know, and when I'm next down at Joseph's, come and have a go in this. Right, third part of your question is my tool reviews and stuff. Basically, I actually I missaid that when I mentioned about it. Like I say, the tool reviews, I'm not doing any tool reviews on the equipment and stuff that I use. It's actually more of a product review. And, you know, I tend to stick with certain brands of certain equipment to fit on cars or trucks. And I've had a lot of experience with them over the years. Some are complete crap, some are very good, and some are just middle of the road to help you out. And I did actually upload a video a few weeks ago. I actually put a set of brake pads in the Amiga, but I was just not happy with the video, so I just took it down. It was a load of crap. So I am going to do a product review. I've got some Permatex brake caliper grease from one of my favourite YouTube channels. I'm actually wearing a shirt now. It's called the South Main Auto channel. It's fantastic. So I'm going to try that for myself. It wasn't cheap. A little 500 gram pot of grease was 40 quid. So that hurt a bit. So yeah, we're going to try that. We're going to try some certain brake pads out. We're going to try some different oils and stuff in the Granada because that's due a service. So I'm going to be filming that. I will do a walk around video on this tomorrow. So yeah, tool reviews, mate. It's more of a product review. So bear with me on that one because we're so quiet at the minute, and because I'm not necessarily touting for work to fix cars and stuff at the minute. It is going to happen, but it's not going to happen overnight. Okay, Joseph has asked, what's the best profit I've made on buying and selling a car? Ooh, I've done a lot of that over the years, but the best one was a long time ago. It was a BMW 525 TDS Touring that I think we bought for 200 quid with a knackered fuel pump. Changed the fuel pump on it and sold it for £5.5 grand. And yeah, so it's that's that basically. I'm not going to divulge any more on that. So there's your question answered, Joseph. A lot of the other stuff was, you know, it was all people wishing me well and that for my knee and speedy recovery. That really does mean a lot because I just started this channel. You know, I'm trying my best to make it as successful as I can, but with time restraints and, you know, with what I do, working strange hours, it's always a little bit difficult. So, you know, I'll try my best to upload and stuff when I can. And to be honest with you, with this coronavirus that's going on at the minute, I've had a right funk on about putting videos on because I'm just sat in the front room doing next to nothing. And I thought, it's quiet tonight, it's nice and cool, so I'll sit under the carport, let you know that the Granada's out. The Granada is out to play, it's out for the foreseeable future. And yeah, I did actually have, it's on here, I wasn't going to answer this one, but I will. It's not necessarily a question that's come from anybody, but it's kind of quite interesting. It was from way back on a job that I did. What was I doing? It was when I first did a cold start on the Granada. The video's in the channel, and I think I did it back in, was it January time, something like that. And these old cars are a bit mardy when they have sat for a bit, particularly when you're on an automatic choke, etc, etc. And this car's fitted with a Weber carburettor, and the fuel drains from the tank, from the carburettor back down to the tank over a period of a few days. So it winds over and winds over while it's sucking the fuel back through the lines, and eventually it will fire up. But this car's got an auto choke on it, and it works really well. The reason why, if you notice, if you watch the video again, it's a good video, you'll notice that I've took the top of the air filter housing off. because these Weber carburetors are famous for spitting flames out and setting the air filters on fire when they've sat for a bit or when they're being cold. And I had somebody comment to me, "Whoa, if you treated my car like that with all that fire coming out," he says, "I'd stick your head in a rubbish bin." I was like, "Yeah, all right, stop on by anytime, I'm here." So yeah, I took that comment down. That was the first bad comment that I've actually had. So yeah, so I hope I've answered everybody's questions. I'm going to get busy with the videos over the next couple of weeks. I say I've got the rear brakes to do on the Alfa. That's a complete overhaul, calipers, discs and pads, which was supposed to be done at the NEC Practical Classics Motor Show, which subsequently got cancelled just because of what's going on. I've got the parts here. The handbrake's terrible on the Alfa, so I need to do that, so we'll be filming that. I might even bring the product review into that video as well. I'm going to do some filming on this for you. The Amiga's away at the minute in storage where the Granada lives, so yeah, that's pretty much up to date. Thanks so much, everybody.